Good day, word workers! You have reached this lecture video because you may have successfully consolidated your raw data. Now it's time to write your Chapter 4, the presentation, interpretation, and analysis of data. For the entirety of this lecture, we shall reference the work of Buff-Dekar in 2015. Next. So before anything else, so that we may avoid using the two terms interchangeably, let us differentiate the terms interpretation and analysis. Although both need inferencing skills from the researchers, the two terms require a different set of writing conventions. So, both of them are also into assigning meaning to the collected information. So whatever raw data that you have, both the interpretation and analysis aim to assign meaning to whatever data that you have. But interpretation, according to Forst in 2017, is a suggestion of qualitative inferences and implications of a statistical analysis, whereas analysis is the computation of measures along with searching for patterns of relationship that exist among data groups. That's according to Kothari in 1989. Now, to put it simply, interpretation is on interpreting whatever the statistical data shows. What does this mean? What does this value mean? Whereas analysis is comparing your data, your results, to your RRLs. Okay? So interpretation, just your raw data, just your statistical results, but analysis is comparing those statistical results to another related studies. Okay? So I hope that is clear. Now, onto the presentation or the discussion part of your Chapter 4. So I'll be using the term discussion to represent the term presentation. Okay, so the discussion section showcases the study, interprets the results for readers, describes the virtue and limitations of the study, discusses the theoretical and practical implications of the research work, and provides the important take-home message. Now, we must compare some parts of Chapter 1 and the discussion part of the Chapter 4. Now, we do so because although we want emphasis, we do not want redundancy on the other hand. So, comparing the introduction and your discussions on to the purpose. So, introduction helps the reader understand the need to conduct the research study. So, introduction as in the Chapter 1. But in the discussion on your Chapter 4, it helps the reader interpret the results and understand the implications of the study. Another one is on the research questions. So, in your introduction or Chapter 1, your research questions narrate the hypothesis or the research questions, whereas in Chapter 4, it provides the answers to the research questions and states if the study findings support the results. Next up. So in terms of the contents, your introduction provides information about the current state of knowledge gaps. However, on the other note, the discussion provides the summary of the findings, the explanation of these findings, and then the comparison with available evidence. So that is the interpretation and the analysis. And lastly, within the bounds of flow and organization, your introduction is from general information to specific. Whereas Chapter 4 discussion deals with the specific, so from the specific to the relevant general or macro setting. So as you can see, this now falls on the narrow to the wider part of the hourglass structure. So that's it for the points of comparison between Chapter 1 and Chapter 4. Now, let us discuss some of the utilities of the presentation or the discussion. So, it conveys what the findings of the study mean, answers the research questions, states the important results, refers to previously published relevant literature, compares results with previously reported findings, and also It can explain the result, elucidate the strength and weaknesses of the study, interpret the whole evidence, and describe the impact of the study. So, how are you supposed to write the discussion, interpretation, and analysis of each data set? Let us begin with the beginning, or the introduction of the structure. So, give a summary or gist of the key findings. Number 2, conclusions of the study. Number 3, narration of the reasons why the study is unique. And number 4, restatement of the purpose of the study. Now, as you can see, for number 4, it's a restatement of the purpose of the study that has been included also in chapter 1. Now, this actually offers the context, and this is an acceptable reiteration. Again, acceptable reiteration because chapters 1 and 4 are separated by 2 other chapters. Okay? Now, for the body of the chapter 4, you must present the interpretation of the results. So remember what we have discussed earlier regarding the difference between interpretation and analysis. Another one is the strengths and limitations of the study. Number 3, list of the implications of the study findings in the light of the whole evidence. So this is the body part is actually the interpretation. It's devoted for the interpretation. Whereas, on referencing other works, as in your analysis, you can definitely cite again your relevant study. So compare and contrast. Number 2, studies with similar and differing results must be cited. So I am referring to your RRL, so you have to go back to chapter 2 again. And then number 3, possible reasons for the differences in results may be discussed. So, but then again, you are not supposed to critique in detail other studies, okay? And this does not mean that if, for example, there's a differing set of results, it doesn't mean that the other one is correct, the other one is wrong, okay? Getting results that are different from previously conducted studies does not necessarily mean that there has been some error or mistake in conducting the study itself. It could simply be due to differences in the population studied, or the limitations, perhaps. If there have been unexpected findings, these should be reported honestly, and an attempt should be made to explain their occurrence if possible. These findings could sow the seeds of future exploration and research. And then, here are the common pitfalls of researchers in terms of writing their chapter 4. You may pause this video and take a screenshot if you must. So that is all we have for today. I hope you have learned a thing or two. See you next time and stay in school.